Hey, what's happening, guys? Good morning. You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is December 30th, 2022, one day before New Year's Eve. The new year is right around the corner. Now, today we're going to be doing another one of these wrap-up videos, kind of going through the news. We got a bunch of big news to share with you guys today. Andrew Tate and his brother were arrested. I thought I mentioned this one the other day, but my man Icarus said I didn't. So the PayPal... I guess it's not the PayPal IRS rule, but the $600 IRS rule has been delayed a year. He said he was surprised I didn't talk about that. I could have sworn I did, but I do make a lot of videos that I wind up scrapping and never releasing. We'll talk a little bit about the markets today. What else do we got to talk about? Amazon lost half of its value in 2022, more than half of its value, actually, as did Tesla and Meta. Mortgage rates are up to 6.59%. That's if you have good credit and a good down payment. If not, you're likely paying over 7%. Average credit card debt climbed. Let's see, what else do we got? The second housing bubble of the 21st century has started. Young males are dropping out of the workforce. We got a bunch of stuff to discuss today. I'm actually making this video here late in the evening on the 29th, but this is going to be the video for December 30th. Now, before we get into this one, I've been giving you guys some movie and show suggestions recently. I talked about The Volcano the other day. I fell asleep during it last night. That's not to say it wasn't good. It was actually pretty entertaining. But there's a little docuseries on Netflix called Bank Robbers. If you like true crime type of content, you'll probably like it. It's this guy in Argentina. He was an artist and a weed grower, and he wanted to pull off a bank robbery. But he wanted to pull off a bank robbery that started while the bank was open and ended after the bank was closed, and they were going to escape through underground tunnels. I think I saw about half of it. 3/4 of it was pretty interesting. It actually reminded me of, man, what was that movie? There was this movie with, was it Woody Harrelson? It was like two guys who were robbing banks and had, oh, you know what it was? Was it Billy Bob Thornton and, I don't know if somebody knows the movie I'm talking about, but it was these guys who pulled off this big bank heist and in the end, like, escaped in an ambulance. It kind of reminded me of that. But check out Bank Robbers on Netflix. I'm also catching up with Yellowstone. I think I'm on episode 3. Please don't tell me what happened. I don't got Paramount, so I got to watch it over at my folks' house. I think Yellowstone is one of the best series of all time. Definitely right up there with like Breaking Bad, Sopranos, Ozarks, a bunch of those. So if you haven't checked that one out, check it out as well. But let's kick off the news for today. So Andrew Tate was kind of mixed reports. Some reports are saying he was arrested. Some say he was taken in for questioning on human trafficking charges. He and his brother as well in Romania. There's all types of rumors about him being involved in drug trafficking, arms dealing, human trafficking. Not sure if any of it's true or, for all we know, he may be pushing these rumors. The guy is a master marketer, a master guerrilla marketer. But it'll be interesting to see how this whole story shakes out. I think in the video I made yesterday, I kind of talked about how he and that Greta, what's her name? Greta Thunberg, I think now she's like 19, but when she became popular, the teenager who was, pushing to make everybody aware of climate change. That whole thing with her was, it's a little bit off topic. That whole thing with her was kind of a scam. I think she's like related to Klaus Schwab or something like that. And it turned out that a lot of these passionate Facebook posts she used to write were actually written by her father. He fucked up, and I guess on one of her posts, it showed that he was the one who authored the post. So, she's kind of irrelevant nowadays anyway, but she and Andrew Tate got into a big beef online. He was bragging about his cars. She called him small dick energy. But kind of the interesting tie-in, this is actually kind of how the police knew that they could come and get or arrest or question Andrew Tate. I guess he travels so much they didn't know if he was going to be at his apartment or condo in Romania. And in one of the videos he made that was a response to Greta, I think he told his brother, told somebody to get him 2 pizza boxes. Now, the pizza boxes that he held up were from a Romanian pizza joint, and I guess that's how the authorities knew he was at his apartment in Romania and knew to arrest him. I guess I'm not a big Andrew Tate fan. I don't dislike him. I think a lot of the stuff he says is interesting, but I'm not an Andrew Tate fanboy. So I don't know too much about his story, but I believe his apartment was raided earlier in the year. He said it was a swatting incident. Now people are guessing that maybe it had something to do with the events unfolding right now. But I'll kind of keep you guys in the loop as more news comes out about that. There was an interesting story kind of going viral today. I always question whether stories are real or whether they're just kind of like clickbait or meant to make somebody some money. But allegedly this Twitter user, I forget his profile name, guy's got about 25,000 followers. So not a huge guy, but definitely somebody who has a following on Twitter. Allegedly he was in a car accident and has been in a coma for the past couple months. He woke up to learn about the FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried debacle, and apparently had his life savings in FTX. Apparently, he's going to tell his wife about how much he lost tomorrow. I'm guessing it's in the six figures, if not the millions of dollars. But again, that's if this is a real story. Is this just somebody trying to get attention? Is this somebody trying to set up a situation where they can open up a GoFundMe and make a bunch of money? I'm kind of jaded now. I always question whether these stories are real. I think 2023 is going to be a year that really wakes people up. We hear about all these people are, taking vacations, buying cars, going to Disney World, putting it on credit cards. I think a lot of people think the Fed is going to pivot. They're somewhat in denial about how ugly 2023 could be. 2023 is going to be a year of mass layoffs. Very likely we're going to have a housing crash. Very likely there's going to be a used car bubble. All types of bubbles are going to be crashing in 2023. And another thing that's kind of scary, we're watching this Southwest Airlines debacle happen right now. Another 2,300 flights were delayed yesterday. Thousands of people have lost their baggage. We see that the power grid can't keep up with with this recent spurt of cold weather we had. People are attacking power systems across the country. Some of the bigger stories were North Carolina and Washington State. Airlines don't seem to be able to function. We have supply chain problems. We have labor shortages. It just seems like all of the complex systems in this country are kind of going to shit. Now, here's a story. I could have sworn I mentioned this in the video the other day, but sometimes I make 2-3 videos in a day and only wind up releasing one. We've talked a lot about that payment processor rule. In the past, if you were selling on eBay or Amazon, in order for the IRS to 1099 you and in order for eBay or PayPal, for example, to tell the IRS that you made money and issue you a 1099, you had to do not only over $20,000 worth of sales, but also 200 transactions. If both of those conditions weren't met, technically you still owe money, but the IRS is not going to get a 1099 from eBay. Well, they changed that rule. Biden changed the rule to $600. So basically, if you go out to dinner 6 times over the course of the year, your friends Venmo you, $100 each time to pay you back because you put the bill on your credit card. You're going to get a 1099 from Venmo. Now, it's up to you to kind of explain to the IRS that, no, this wasn't profit. I went out to dinner. My friends paid me back. It was basically going to create a huge tax headache for a lot of individuals. It was also going to be a huge headache for the IRS. The IRS is understaffed. They don't even pick up their phones. And I think most people would argue the IRS probably has bigger fish to fry and should use their limited resources to go after, bigger people and billionaires. That's why Biden said this rule was put into place. He wants to make sure that the elite, the rich, the billionaires are paying their fair share. Do you really think that billionaires are dodging taxes through PayPal transactions $600 at a time? Of course not. They're going after the little guy. I think the government realizes that a lot more people are selling online. A lot more people are working, quote unquote, outside of the system. A lot of people have side hustles, and they want to make sure that these people pay their taxes. This rule is actually being pushed back until next year. It was supposed to go into effect, I think, January 1st or January 3rd. So people would have been getting 1099s this year. Now, the IRS has said that they're going to delay this. Technically speaking, the IRS is violating the law by not putting this into place. But again, the government can do whatever they want. But anyhow, you guys don't have to worry about this until 2024 tax season. The Democrats have put out a plan to raise this to $5,000. Republicans want to go back to the old system of $20,000 and 200 transactions. I think the likely scenario, it's going to wind up being $5,000. And people are going to try to spin this as a win for the little guy, when in reality, you're still getting screwed. Let's talk about the markets yesterday. The Dow closed up 345 points. The NASDAQ closed up 265 points. I hadn't looked at crypto, but let's head over to CoinMarketCap. We got Bitcoin, Bitcoin up 0.5% on the day, Ethereum up 0.1%. BNB up up 0.5%. Crypto is just kind of trading up and kind of trading sideways, up 0.5% today, down 0.5% tomorrow, up 1% the next day, down 2% the following. What was the market up on today? Pretty much nothing. We continue to see lower highs and lower lows. You might get an up day, but then you get 3 down days, then you get another up day, then you get 3 down days, and the down days tend to be down more than the up days are up. Jobless numbers came in yesterday. Jobless numbers were 9,000 higher than the previous week, which this is what the Fed wants. The Fed wants wages to come down, and the Fed wants people to lose their jobs. Maybe the market's like that. Obviously, this is only 1 week. We'll see if the layoffs continue. I thought this stat was interesting. So in 2022, 5 trading days accounted for 94% of the S&P 500's decline in 2022. This country is kind of broken. If you go to the grocery store, you go to the pharmacy, children's medicines are wiped out. A lot of older over-the-counter medications are not on the counters. We got the Adderall shortages going on. Power grid is crashing. Power grid is under attack. Airlines can't function. Everything seems to be a mess. Saw a stat today from the CEO of Target. He said Target in 2022 lost over $400 million to theft and shoplifting, and specifically organized shoplifting rings. If you look at cities like Seattle and San Francisco and Portland, these cities have rules that the district attorneys will not prosecute people who steal under $1,000 worth of merchandise. So you have free reign to walk into a store and steal $1,000 worth of merchandise. And in a lot of these cities, everything is locked up. Dish detergent is locked up. Laundry detergent is locked up. Every single thing you want to buy, you have to have an employee open for you. And I believe my city of Chicago implemented this. You can steal up to $1,000 rule within the past year. What are people thinking? Like, hey, this played out so well in San Francisco and Portland and Seattle. Like, let's bring that policy home to Chicago. I had one other point okay, you're also seeing a lot of Walgreens, a lot of these stores closing down in these areas. So, good people who, just want to go about their lives and work and pay for items, they can't even do their shopping because, people want to steal and, the district attorneys and police don't want to hold them accountable. I think this more has to do with the district attorneys. The police's hands are kind of tied. If somebody's not going to be prosecuted, why are you going to arrest them? Let's see. Okay, and this is kind of interesting. I think in a video the other day I talked about how part of this, $1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill, they're going to be cracking down on online selling platforms like eBay and Amazon, high volume sellers, and they don't define what a high volume seller is, but high volume sellers are going to have to turn over more information to these platforms. And I guess this is meant to crack down on these retail theft rings so that people aren't, stealing thousands or tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of items, and then trying to resell the goods on eBay, Amazon, and other sites like that. The second largest investment bank, Goldman Sachs, has layoffs coming in January. They laid off 500 people back in December. They're expecting another 4,000 job cuts in January. They're also cutting the bonuses of 3,000 investment bankers by 40%. We kind of touched on this at the beginning of the video, but Amazon has lost over half of its value in 2022. Their stock is down 51%. Tesla had a little bit of a bump today, but their stock is down 69% on the year. Meta is down 64% on the year. Touched on this already, but mortgage rates 6.59%. Without a hefty down payment and a decent credit score, you're likely getting over 7% on your mortgage. We talked about yesterday how West Palm Beach, Florida, over 50% of all home purchases in November were cash purchases. That's a trend we're seeing across the country as well. Credit card rates are over 22%. Store credit cards are over 30%. The average credit card debt in November, the average American has $5,650 in credit card debt. If we go back to November of 2021, that's $650 higher. This past holiday season, the average person had $1,500 in holiday spending. So the average person spent $1,500, went $1,500 into debt buying Christmas presents. And I had talked about how my family and my girlfriend's family both decided to kind of not do gifts. We did white elephants and some games and things like that. But we decided to only do gifts for like the grandparents and the younger kids. And it was the best Christmas I ever had. Much less stressful, much less running around, much less spending money on things that people don't want. Credit card balances climbed $38 billion, kind of still going off those same numbers, but credit card balances climbed $38 billion compared to November of 2021. And this year, people's tax refunds are going to be a lot smaller. A lot of people rack up debt throughout the year thinking, okay, I'll just use the tax refund to pay it off. The child tax credit has been lessened. I believe also now 17-year-olds, you can't get money back for 17-year-olds either. A lot of the COVID era tax policies have gone away. So a lot of these people who are planning on paying down their debt with their tax refunds are going to find that tax refund isn't going to pay down all the debt. LendingTree recently did a study. They found that 18% of consumers incurred debt going to Disney World this year. And I'm actually kind of surprised that it's not higher than 18%. I would kind of expect it to be over half of people. A Disney World vacation for a family of four today will cost you $5,731. Think about how crazy that is. I get, your kids are only young once. You want to make memories. Kids want to go to Disney World. But I think you can get a Six Flags pass for, I'm not sure what they are now. I mean, it's normally about 2 or 3 visits. So I'm guessing a Six Flags season pass is probably $150, $200. Think about that. Instead of spending $5,700 you don't have, you could spend $200, get a Six Flags pass, and spend time with your kids at Six Flags, going on roller coasters, going to the water park all summer long. Zero Hedge had an article yesterday. The second housing bubble of the 21st century is over. Housing prices are dropping across the nation on a national level. Let's see. People seem to be kind of divided on, is a housing crash inevitable? There's subreddits like RE Bubble that are pretty much simply there to cheer on a coming housing crash. But you have a lot of other people who say, a housing crash isn't coming. We might see a plateau. We might see a little bit of a pullback, but a crash isn't coming. I know a lot of the major banks, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, have kind of come out and said, like, good scenario, housing prices crash about 14, I wouldn't even call it a crash. Housing prices pull back 14%. Worst case scenario, housing prices come down 24%. There are some hot markets in the southeast and the west where houses literally doubled and tripled in price over the course of the past 2-3 years, maybe 5 years at most. A 25% pullback in a lot of markets won't even take you to pre-Mexican beer cough prices. What do you guys think about the housing market? What are you seeing in your area? I'd love to hear from you, so drop a comment down below. I think I had touched on this in a video earlier today, but Mike Rowe, the king of hard work and why prime age males aren't working. I'm going to do a video, specifically about this issue, but 7 million prime age males are sitting out of the workforce. This problem has been going on since 2016, but has been exacerbated by COVID. Over half of males refuse to take a job that isn't remote. And it'll be interesting to see who is going to cave first. Are employees going to run out of money and have to take in-office jobs they don't want? Or are employers going to need workers? And are they going to wind up caving and allowing more people to work remotely? It'll be interesting to see that play out in 2023. I think right now about 30% of people are working remotely. I've seen articles saying it's expected that will stay pretty much static through 2023. But we are seeing more companies calling people back into the office. So again, we'll have to see how that plays out. Restaurants and retail stores are offering higher wages to attract employees. But again, this is going to lead to more inflation. This is the exact opposite of what the Fed wants. People are wanting to work. Okay, so we've been seeing this a lot lately too. People don't want to work jobs that quote unquote bring down their social status. Who's going to staff all these fast food joints? Who's going to staff all these retail stores? Who's going to staff all these fast casual stores? I think maybe the future is that your city maybe doesn't need 5 Chipotles. Your city maybe doesn't need 4 Applebee's and 4 TGI Fridays. November, I think October, November, over half of restaurants couldn't pay their rent. I think you're going to see a lot of these fast food chains wind up going out of business. Hopefully people will support the mom and pop joints and kind of keep them around. I always kind of enjoy going to cities and visiting places where you have more unique independent mom and pop joints than you do chain restaurants. But again, we'll have to wait to see how this plays out in 2023. The WEF, the World Economic Forum, is calling for surveillance in the metaverse. So not only do they want you eating bugs and living in a pod, not only do they want to surveil you in the real world, but they also want to surveil you in the metaverse as well. I thought this was an interesting story. Watching porn in Louisiana now requires age verification. They just passed a law. Not sure how this is going to be implemented. Like our sites like Pornhub and YouTube and X videos and XN videos and Rules for Rebels. How do you know about so many porn sites, man? What are you doing with your free time? No, I'm kidding. But how are they going to enforce this? Are sites like Pornhub going to put? Are they going to check IP addresses and block people from Louisiana? If so, are people going to have to get VPNs? Not really sure. Don't really have the details about that story, but thought that was kind of interesting. New York State, the first ever legal recreational marijuana dispensary, opened its doors yesterday. I think during these past midterms, a lot more states rolled out either medical marijuana or recreational marijuana, but that's big for New York State. Minimum wage rose in 23 states. I suppose that's kind of irrelevant. Minimum wage in most states is, $7, $8, $9, $10. Because nobody wants to work in fast food, retail, and the hospitality and service industry, the market is kind of taking care of this problem on its own. I think most fast food joints near me are starting people at anywhere from like $18 to $22 an hour, which is 2 to 3 times the minimum wage. So minimum wage is rising, but because of the labor shortage and because there's certain industries and spaces people don't want to work in, people are already earning substantially more than that anyways. Let's see. I kind of already talked about the Fox Business article. Families are going to debt to visit Disney World. I hate to see bad things happen to people. I hate to see people struggle. But at the same time, when people are in debt and they're taking $5,700 trips to Disney World, it makes it kind of hard to feel bad for people. And a lot of people aren't feeling the pain yet, but they will in 2023. We've kind of been talking about this. At first, a crash was imminent, but then the midterms were right around the corner. So the economy was kind of propped up until we got past the midterms. Then the midterms were over, but then the holidays are right around the corner. We got to buy gifts. We got to travel to see family. Let's give the kids one last good Christmas. The holiday season, I guess technically it's over. Christmas is behind us, but most people are kind of in the holiday spirit for probably another week or two. I know my Christmas tree is still up. Most people's Christmas trees are still up. People are still in that holiday mindset. Businesses are kind of in a lull. A lot of people take time off towards the end of the year. But once, we're days away from 2023, once everybody comes back from New Year's weekend, I think you're going to see the layoffs pick up. I think you're going to see more businesses calling people back into the office. And I think this crash is really going to go into overdrive. I wish I would have talked about this story earlier because this is kind of an important story. Sam Bankman-Fried, it's recently come out that Sam Bankman-Fried was meeting with White House officials leading right up until the collapse of FTX. He had 4 meetings in total with top Biden White House officials, and his brother was also meeting with top White House officials as well. His brother had 5 meetings with him. And then just last piece of news for the day, kind of a fun drug one. California is introducing bills to legalize magic mushrooms and other psychedelics. So that's the news for today. If you guys have any stories that I missed that you want me to share in future videos, drop a comment with either a link to the story or tell me about it. I'll check it out and try to include it in the coming videos. If you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below, ring the bell, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.